Greetings. You are receiving a letter today along with a printout from the Ohio Department of Education regarding a score that your son or daughter received on a state-mandated assessment. What we wanted to do at Buckeye Central was to provide parents with a letter as well as this video to help explain the process of the new requirements that your son or daughter must meet to graduate in 2018. Students who were freshmen for the first time last year during the 2014-2015 school year, this year sophomores, are subject to the new high school graduation requirements. There are two things that your son or daughter must do. Number one, they must complete the state-mandated course requirements, and I'll show those to you in one slide, as well as completing one of the three following graduation pathways. Pathway A is for your child to score 18 cumulative points on the 7 different state-mandated tests. Pathway B is to earn an industry credential and to score a workforce readiness score on the WorkKeys assessment. And then Pathway C is to earn a remediation-free score on a recognized college admissions exam. If your son or daughter stays here at Buckeye Central through graduation, as opposed to attending Pioneer, we believe that Pathway A is probably the best pathway. However, it's not the only pathway. They can look at the other 2 pathways as well. But Pathway A, if they stay here, is the best pathway. Therefore, the remainder of this video will talk about Pathway A. As I said before on the previous slide, the first thing your child must do is to meet the state-mandated course requirements. The state of Ohio says that all students must pass 4 years of English language arts, a semester of health, 4 years of mathematics, 1 semester of phys ed, 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies, and then 5 separate electives. Then Pathway A says that your student must take the 7 separate assessments and score a total of 18 total points on all 7 tests combined. Along with that, to make things a little bit more complicated, the Ohio Department of Education states that students must also score a minimum number on subject-specific assessments, which I'll explain in a slide or 2 as well. So on each one of those 7 tests that your child will take, they have the ability to earn a 1 through 5 on each test. 1 being limited, 2 being basic, 3 being proficient, 4 is accelerated, and then 5 is advanced. So those subject-specific tests and the minimum points, what the Department of Education did was they took the 7 tests and they divided them into 3 separate strands. The first strand is the biology, American history, and American government strand. On those 3 tests, your child must score 6 total points. In the math strand, Algebra 1 and Geometry, those 2 tests combined, your child must score a total of 4 points. And then thirdly is the English strand, English 1 and English 2. On those 2 tests combined, your child must score a total of 4 points. The minimum for each of these 3 strands, according to the Department of Education, is to ensure that each student is well-rounded. But they still also must score a total of 18 on all 7 tests combined as well. So here's an example. On the left-hand side here, I have the 7 courses, the 7 tests. In the middle, I have a score that your child may or may not receive. And then on the right here, I have the minimum that your child must score in that strand. What I've also done is created by color the 3 different strands. Red represents the science and history strand. Blue represents the math strand. And purple represents the English strand. So in this example, if your child scores a 2 on biology, a 2 on history, a 2 in the American government, they have earned 6 total points in this strand. and that meets the requirement of the minimum score of 6 points. Good job, they meet that requirement. With the math strand, if your child receives a 2 in Algebra 1 and a 2 on the Algebra 2, that's 4 total points. And that also meets the minimum for that strand of 4 points. And then the third strand, the English strand. If your child scores a 2 on English 1 and a 2 on English 2, that's 4 total points in that strand. And again, your child will meet the minimum for that strand. So good job on that. However, if you add up all of these, it's a total of 14 points. Here, your child will not get the total 18 points they need on all 7 tests. So in this scenario, this student would not graduate. Here's a second scenario. Again, red strand. Biology, they score a 4. History, they score a 3. Government, they score a 4. That's 11 total points. The minimum is 6, so great job. They met the minimum. In the math strand, your child scored a 4 in Algebra 1, a 3 in geometry. That's 7 total points. The minimum was 4 points, so great job. They meet that strand. And then purple, the English strand. Your child scored a 1 out of 5 on the English 1, and then a 2 out of 5 on the English 2. That's 3 total points. They do not meet the minimum of 4, so they do not meet that strand. If you add all 7 tests together, they have 21 total points. They meet the minimum requirement of 18 for all 7 tests. However, due to this strand right here, the purple strand, where they did not meet the minimum of 4 points, this student will not graduate high school either. Now, one more example for you. Here, again in the red, science and history. Your child scores a 2 in biology, 3 in history, 3 in government. That's 8 total points. The minimum for that strand is 6. Good job. They meet that requirement. The math strand, 2 in Algebra 1 and 3 in geometry. That's 5 total points. The minimum requirement for that strand is 4. So good job. They meet that one. English 1, English 2. That's 6 total points there. The minimum is 4 for that strand. So good job. They meet that. Also, if you add up all 7 of those, that's 19 total points. That meets the minimum of 18 total points for all 7. So your child meets that requirement. So in this scenario, this student would be able to graduate if they chose pathway A. This was quick, I know, but we wanted to take some time to try to help clarify the importance of these assessments and the score that your child received on those assessments. It's imperative that they score as well as they can. If your child scored a 1 or a 2 on the assessment, we are encouraging them to retake it the next time they can. That your child may take the test as many times as he or she wishes. So if there are any questions regarding any of this, please either call myself at the extension 1160 or our guidance counselor at extension 1132, Mrs. Close. We are here to hopefully help clarify this to you and to help alleviate any concerns that you may have. Please know that we are tracking your child's scores. We are tracking what they get on each test. And we are doing our best to make sure that we know who's on course to graduate and who's not. It would behoove you and your child to also keep track of those scores too. And again, if you have any questions, please give us a call, give us an email, or just stop by the building and see us. Thanks so much and have a good day.